You sold a company, Huffington Post, to AOL, right?
Right.
And I think the number is 315 million, is that correct? Before we continue this video, make sure to subscribe below and turn on the notification bell right now so you don't miss out on these great videos every single day. During the time you were building this company, you didn't sleep much, from what I remember, right?
The first 2 years.
First 2 years,
because
okay.
We launched the Huffington Post in 2005, and in April 2007, I collapsed from sleep deprivation and exhaustion, and hit my head on my desk and broke my cheekbone.
Oh. In the middle of the day?
In the morning, actually.
Okay.
Not
Wow.
even in the middle of the day. And that was the beginning of my starting on this journey of reevaluating my life, of looking at what were the things I needed to change in my life. And for me, the keystone habit, that I changed and everything else became easier was sleep. I went from 4 to 5 hours to 8 hours, 95% of the time. I'm a work in progress. I'm not perfect.
Yeah.
And I suddenly sort of started looking around and seeing that I was not alone, that millions of people were burnt out, and that we live in a culture which is fueled by burnout. And it's kind of amazing because the new science now is so conclusive that sleep is a performance enhancer, that everything in our lives gets better, our productivity, our health, our relationships, our happiness. So why is it so hard for us to actually do something that is free and available to us? And I think that's partly because we've created this culture, mostly created by you guys, not you personally, Luis, but men, that basically wears this sleep deprivation like a badge of honor. Like I'm too busy and too important to sleep, or I'll sleep when I'm dead, or you snooze, you lose, all these things. And basically they're all wrong.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. It's kind of like the food industry in a sense where they told us to, the breads and grains and milks and all these things were actually good for us, but now the science is like, well, actually, that's what's causing all the cancer or making you exhausted. It's like the gluten, the dairy, or whatever. So it's kind of like we have to relearn.
And even if you go further back, it's kind of amazing to look at some of the ads in the 1950s by doctors selling cigarettes.
Right, of course.
And you had literally doctors in white coats saying,
crazy.
Menthol cigarettes, refresh your throat,
That's crazy.
give you cancer. But so yes, it's like we often live under false assumptions. Modern science has disproven them. This has been the golden age of scientific findings around sleep. And it's very recent. The first scientific sleep center was founded in 1970 at Stanford, and now there are 2,500
sleep centers. What's a sleep center?
Basically, they study different aspects of sleep, what happens to the brain. At Stanford, Sherry Ma studied sports and sleep, and she was the one who became the pioneer of proving that sleep was a legal performance enhancer without negative side effects. Yes.
Wow.
And so you have Andre Iguodala, for example, who had such a fantastic year despite his injury.
Can I just see a photo with you and him?
Yes, I interviewed him at Stanford, the Golden State Warriors MVP. Absolutely. Considers his sleep what got him the MVP title. And he's kind of so disciplined about it. I talked to his wife too, the getting his 8 hours, no screens or TV in the bedroom, temperature at 67 degrees, everything dark, all the things that I include in the book, all the tips and techniques of how to get a great night's sleep. And he's practicing, and when he's on the road, making sure that he has as many of these things available to him, so that he can actually get the restorative sleep that makes him better on the court.
What's the science behind recovering the muscles with whatever it is, 7 or 8 hours of sleep with a cool temperature, the blackout, calming the mind? What's the science behind that? What do doctors or scientists say about how it actually enhances the muscles or the heart or the brain or all the things?
Well, it enhances everything, both the physical body that needs that recovery time. In fact, the more intensely you work out, the more essential the recovery time is for the body.
Yes.
But also, what happens to the brain? Because as you know, being an athlete yourself, winning is not just a function of your muscles, it's also a function of your brain. And I talk in the book about how if you miss a shot or you make a mistake, which every athlete does in the course of a game, if you actually keep replaying that in your head while the game is going on, that's a recipe for disaster. And if you're sleep deprived, you are more likely to dwell on your failures, to dwell on your fears and anxieties. I mean, whether you're an athlete or a busy mom, you know, you're more likely to be irritable and cranky and all the things that make life much harder are aggravated when you're sleep deprived.
Yeah, it has a lot to do with meditation too. You know, when we don't meditate and we're not being mindful, we are more irritated, we're more stressed out, we're not recovering, we're not relaxing the mind and the body. I think sleep and meditation go hand in hand. Do you meditate as well yourself?
I do meditate, yes, and I love my meditation.
Yeah.
But the thing about sleep is, whether you meditate or not, whether you work out or not, everybody has to sleep.
Right, exactly.
So everybody has a relationship with sleep. So the question is, how can we make this relationship the best it can be so that every other aspect of our life is enhanced?
Do you feel like, you know, in 2005 to 2007, you said you started to realize that you were like crashing and all these things were happening,
Well, I didn't actually realize it until I collapsed.
Until you collapsed, 2007, right?
That's what is so interesting.
How many years were you kind of living this lifestyle of not paying attention to your sleep?
Well, it would come and go.
Okay.
You know, I started, as I write in the book, about how I was brought up by a mother who revered sleep in a one-bedroom apartment in Athens, Greece.
She wanted to sleep all the time?
No, not at all. She just brought us up believing that if we get enough sleep, we're going to be better at school, and we're going to be happier.
Right.
And in fact, she kind of knew that because we all wanted to maintain our weight or lose weight, depending on the time, this was a great way to do that. She wasn't a scientist, but the modern science now validates that if you want to lose weight,
sleep more.
Sleep enough. You know, it's not about more. Actually, what is interesting, modern science tells us you cannot oversleep unless you're a narcoleptic or suffering from severe depression. If you're just going on about your life, your body wakes you up when it's fully recharged.
So you can't oversleep. If you oversleep, does it hurt you if you get 12 hours of sleep?
No, if you get 12 hours of sleep, you're probably making up some sleep deficit.
Gotcha. Okay.
You know, once you've paid your sleep deficit and you are in a regular routine, your body will naturally wake you up.
Gotcha. Okay. Interesting. So your mom kind of had this intuition.
So my mom had that intuition and brought us up like that. But then when I went to England to get my degree and then to New York, I just bought into the prevailing culture, which was that
driven mindset.
Yes, that if you're going to succeed, then you need to sacrifice sleep. And really now for me, it's a little bit like choosing to get to your destination in a broken down truck, you know, or a gas guzzling car, instead of a Tesla.
Teslas run so smooth.
I mean, when you are fully recharged, it's like there you are in your Tesla, going to your destination faster, more efficiently, and also enjoying the journey.
Yeah.
So that's why I've become such a sleep evangelist. And this crusade that we've launched, the book is one part of it, but we're taking the book and the sleep revolution to 100 colleges to convince millennials of the importance of sleep.
Are you seeing that a lot of millennials are not sleeping, that they still have this pull all-nighter mentality like in college, you know, for finals and tests?
Absolutely.
Is that happening still?
Yes, it's happening and with huge and dangerous consequences. And that's what I wanted. I structured the book so you start with the crisis. and give people an overview of how dangerous sleep deprivation is, how prevalent it is, and how it's also at the heart of a lot of mental health issues.
Really?
Like people who are depressed or anxious. At the heart of it is sleep deprivation.
So they're linking the diseases that we're having, just a mental, emotional
The
disease?
mental
or
and the physical. Obviously, sleep deprivation is directly linked to obesity, diabetes, hypertension and heart disease, even cancer, and definitely Alzheimer's.
Really?
Because when we sleep is the time when our brain washes away, the toxins that have built during the day.
Interesting. Is it more powerful to have vivid dreams or to not dream at all? Is there a difference? Does it matter?
Much more powerful, obviously, to remember your dreams because it means you're getting enough sleep.
If you remember them?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you are sleep deprived, you're much less likely to remember your dreams.
Really?
And I have a whole section on dreams, and dreams are a great source of insights. A lot of inventors have come up with their inventions in dreams.
Really?
Larry Page came up with the idea for Google
In a dream?
in a dream.
Wow. Okay.
Paul McCartney came up with Let It Be in a dream. All the lyrics were written in the dream.
Interesting.
So whatever it is you're doing,
But you're saying if we're not sleeping well, then we're not going to have dreams we can remember, or maybe there'll be more nightmares than dreams.
well, you're much less likely to remember them
Gotcha.
if you're not sleeping well.
And do we know, and maybe we're not aware of this, but do we know about why we have nightmares and why we have positive dreams? Or
Basically, dreaming is a time when we either process a lot of the incomplete emotions of the day, or we process our anxieties about the future, or the more insightful dreams that tap into our wisdom. So it depends, it's the whole gamut. That's what I love about my sleep time now, that I go to sleep and I don't know what the movie is going to be tonight.
Right, exactly.
But it's a little bit like rekindling the romance with sleep. But I wanted first to convince people of why it is important.
Right.
I think we're so data driven,
Right.
and the science chapter gives you all the data you want to really believe it's important. And after you believe it's important, and after we go through the history chapter that shows you why we started devaluing sleep in the first industrial revolution, when we thought human beings could be like machines and minimize downtime, then you have the second half of the book, which is all about how to. But you first have to how to maximize your performance, how to maximize your sleep, and there are tons of tips.
Right, resources.
Exactly. But for me, the key, the most important thing, if you're going to do one thing, it's to turn off all your devices. Start with 5 minutes before you're going to turn off the lights. Just have a little demarcation line between your day life and your sleep.
Right. Why is that important to turn off the screens and
Because
TVs?
otherwise what happens is that our bodies may be exhausted, but our minds remain in a stimulated mode. Blue light stimulates the brain, but also beyond the blue light, it's just that we haven't given our brain some opportunity to power down. And that's what wakes people up in the middle of the night. Even if they go to sleep, because they're physically exhausted, their brains wake them up with whatever it is they haven't processed, all the mind chatter. So I think what is key is to have a little transition to sleep. And it can be a really simple and short transition. Mine is about 30 minutes now, but I believe in microscopic steps. You know how it is. You build habits with very small
Don't try to do this big jump
changes.
at the same
Don't try
time.
to make the big jump. Just little things that you can stick to. And then little by little, the kind of person that you become when you are fully recharged becomes like a magnet.
And you want it all the time.
I want to be that person. I don't like myself when I'm the other kind of person. When I'm sleep deprived, when I'm irritable, when I you tell me something and I get upset, or
you're just slow, or whatever it may be.
oh yes, you make mistakes. You know, you're not as sharp in every possible way.
If you want to learn more about how to master your mind, check out this next video right here.
We're all faced with great opportunities brilliantly disguised as impossible situations, and we are at that point, at that nexus point in our evolution as a species. So then you don't try to fix that. That's never going to work. What you do